welcome one and all to another date on Journalist Hangout. It's a Friday, and it's the last show for the week. I'm Citizen Jones Hussein. Now, today on the program, in search of resolution, President Tinubu dispatches three-man team to Niamey, the capital of Niger Republic. And later on, we'll share this with you. Nnamdi Kanu restates and to sit at home in the southeast region. I'm hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju. BKO, I greet you. Good evening to you.
Good evening to Citizen.
And we're joined by Emeka Madunagu. Yes. I greet you, Emeka.
Yeah, good evening, Citizen. Good evening, viewers.
The team is ready. I hope you are. Yeah, let's start our trip today from Ekiti State, where the former chief executive of the state, Peter Ayodele Fayose, is not your run-of-the-mill politician. He's a man of many parts. Featuring on TVC News' current affairs show, Politics Tonight on Thursday, Mr. Fayose remarked that God was kind to Ekiti State for making Oyebanji the governor. He urged the state indigents to support the new governor so he might deliver on his electoral promises. I wonder if it is necessarily true that in politics there's no honor. But first, let's hear from the former helmsman, Fayose himself.
The governor of Ekiti. I've said it before, that is the best hand we have for now. Oyebanji is doing very, very well. You see, one of the things that the young man is doing is to look for all the leaders of the state. We didn't do most of that. Fayemi don't even do any. In terms of go and look for, Fayemi is an Englishman, I am an Ekiti man, our ways are different. This man took part of Fayemi's way, took part of Fayose's way, took part of Adebayo's way, and forging ahead. He has chosen not to have any enemy. And I was in Ekiti for a function. I was in his car. He took me to see a few things. My sister, what I saw, I'm more than impressed. Oyebanji can't feed me. Me too, I have small change. I have small change. Ekiti does not have the resources to feed somebody like me. My mouth is wide. So, but when we see when somebody is doing well, I cannot hide it. If Oyebanji is doing well in an election, I will say go and vote for Oyebanji, me. If Oyebanji goes off track, I will come to this station and say that Oyebanji is very, very bad now. So far, so good. He's doing very, very well. I endorse him.
All right.
And I endorse his people.
So
Yeah. Some folks think he's a gadfly.
Oh, is that?
Well, Fayose is a gadfly because some folks think he is a gadfly because they are not sure what comes from him next. But praising an incumbent who is not of his political family is a little something unusual.
Yes, but I can say that Fayose has spoken the truth. Before now, we've had other leaders speak glowingly about the same man because his politics is right.
That's Oyebanji.
Yes. And when Fayose said that he has picked this from me, picked that from Adebayo, picked this from... It was on this program that I described him in that manner some months back. Fayose was the governor who liked to inspect his projects at night, who likes to catch contractors unawares.
Keeping them on their toes.
Oyebanji does that too. You will never be able to predict when he will come and see the project. That's one trait that Fayose was known for. He could inspect project at 10 p.m. You'll never be able to determine what he will do next. So Fayose has this populist
agenda? outlook,
populist disposition.
Yeah.
Oyebanji has it as well. And in terms of being frugal, you could also say that Oyebanji has picked up that trait from Segun Oni. So it looks like someone who has who observed the attitudinal disposition of the governors before him and decided to borrow some of the ideas to make him a total package.
Yeah.
That is what I think he is doing. And look, everyone that has met him has left with a very positive impression. I was reading what Babafemi Ojudu said about it, and you know, you can't say Ojudu is a flippant person. Because to earn his loyalty, somebody that I worked with was my direct supervisor for years. To earn his loyalty, you must really work for it. That's the sort of person that is. People will say it's difficult, or is someone difficult to understand. But that's the way he is. But to earn his loyalty, you must have really, really worked for it. And for Ojudu to come out, say positive things about a governor,
Yeah.
I'm convinced that Bao is on a good track and that Ekiti is in a good place in his hands.
Emeka, when former Governor Fayose says the comment that Fayemi now in Igbo man, okay, made you laugh, but he meant Fayemi was somebody aloof for something.
Was Fayemi really, was he aloof?
Was he really?
Not really aloof. Maybe he had this Western disposition towards politics, having lived abroad, you know, for a long while, and having been involved with the CSO community, you know, and of course, he had also been involved in pro-democracy from abroad. So even the way, even some people laugh at the way he speaks, you know, he speaks Yoruba. So that, you know, it has this Western intonation. So that's why some might call him an Igbo man. But I think what this governor has done is that he has tried to avoid the landmines, some of which Fayose deliberately walked into and was bruised. Yes, fighting people, fighting different interest groups and all of that. But I think Biodun Oyebanji started, first of all, by meeting with his predecessors, meeting with important people in the state, not minding, you know, and then also meeting with his opponents. So in that way, he was able to at least deaden any expected fire from his opponents. Well, I think also for Fayose to say that, I'm not surprised, because Fayose has even from the time of the election, shown that his loyalty lies with Biodun Oyebanji, not that his loyalty lay with Biodun Oyebanji, not with Bisi Kolawole of the PDP. Yes. So, in a way, yes, fine, as a citizen of the state, it's good to encourage the governor. But at the same time, I think it doesn't speak too well of the kind of politics Fayose plays. Yes, because yes, you are commending this man, but you have said that if the man is not doing well, you will speak again. On what basis? As a PDP man or as Fayose? People should know where you stand.
Yeah.
It's not as if I'm saying that opposition politics should necessarily be adversarial, but there should be principle in it. So that if you are praising the governor who is in another party, let it be based on principle, not the fact that people say, what do you expect?
Fayose also said, he gave that red flag, no, yellow flag. If Oyebanji leaves the rail, I'm going to chastise him.
Yes, that means his loyalty is not permanent.
Yeah.
His loyalty is to the extent that you remain on track. And I think that our kind of politics needs to change. There's nothing wrong in publicly praising a governor that does not belong to your party if he's doing well. Right. After all, people are in government for public good. And if good things happen in a state, there's a popular saying that when the rain falls, it doesn't fall on only one man's roof.
No, everybody.
You know, so if good things come to a state, you all stand to benefit. So
Yeah.
if we all need to, you look at a governor like the governor of Borno State, for example, across party lines,
yes. Oh, yeah.
people
Oh, yeah.
admit that he's doing well. People should be able to say, look, we are doing well, without party members saying, oh, maybe you are patronizing him because you want money from him.
Yes,
You know?
yeah.
So we should be able to do that. I like the way the Americans play their politics. When the midterm elections come, people fail to work for their people. They always punish them.
That's it.
And they vote across party lines. You know? So they don't care whether you are a Republican. If that governor is doing well, they will vote for him.
All right.
So I think that's the way it should be.
So we wish Governor Oyebanji very well. He must remember that in Nigeria, we are moving from politics of right and left to politics of right and wrong, if you understand what I mean. All right, to our next story. You know, the unsteady relationship between the federal government and organized labor in our country appears to have hit a rock, if you ask me. Now, a communique jointly signed by the president of the Nigeria Labour Congress, Comrade Joe Ajaero, and the general secretary, Comrade Emmanuel Ubuaja, indicates that the NLC may be embarking on a nationwide strike beginning from Monday, August 14. Now, coming barely 24 hours after its decision to suspend its previously planned nationwide protest, tongues are wagging. Well, we now know that the federal government, through the National Industrial Court, is planning to take labor leaders to court for contempt of a fact. Emeka, these are times that try men's souls.
Yeah, but I wonder what the Federal Ministry of Justice hopes to gain from that. Because if a matter has gone beyond the regular, beyond the expected levels to the president, I think people should sometimes allow some of these things work. It's not in every industrial crisis that the president of a nation, I mean, talking about Nigeria, intervenes. You know, you saw how aloof Buhari was with a number of these things. But by saying you will take them to court, that means you will go back to the industrial court to report them. But don't forget that the decision of the industrial court can also be appealed. It's not the Supreme Court. So when in the midst of crime, people are suffering. There's no doubt. The removal of subsidy has impacted negatively on so many people. So it makes sense to read the mood of the nation that since, okay, the president has intervened, and even Labour actually said, yes, he made certain commitments. I think they even used the word firm commitments for that court refinery by December, so. And we've seen even state governments moving to implement some of the things promised by the president. For instance, the governor of Borno State, Zulum, has distributed food and money and other materials to people of the state. You've seen some states have even increased the minimum wage. So all of these things put together, I think if Labour said, okay, they'll give the president some time to sort out these things with the governors and all that, then what is the Federal Ministry of Justice after? Why try to hit up the polity with this kind of a thing? There's like somebody, who was it that was saying that when a lawyer tells you, okay, go to court, we'll go to court, does that lawyer tell you that he will ensure you win? What if you report them and the court throws out your election? What have you done? I think it is clear that some people definitely don't want things to work out in the favor of Nigerians. I will appeal to them, to those in the Federal Ministry of Justice. Drop this game you're playing. Let the process of negotiation, let it continue. Because some part of the negotiations have to do with the federal government, some are at the level of the state government and the local government. So all these things also, some of these things will also involve extra budgetary allocation. So maybe there will have to be maybe the government will have to talk of sending a supplementary budget to the National Assembly to cater for some of these things, including the promised new minimum wage. So I think let's allow an atmosphere that makes things work out for all of us.
August 14 is a little over a week, and I think there's still time to meet somewhere in the middle.
Yes, I have not seen the order of the industrial court.
Okay.
You know, restraining the NSC from embarking on any industrial action, because that is what they are saying, that the order says they should not embark on any industrial action, you know, and if that was the case, protests that takes people away from their jobs is an industrial action.
Yeah.
But I've not seen the judgment. I don't know whether that's exactly what's contained in that judgment. But that's what Mrs. Jedi Agba, the Solicitor General, is saying, that the court restrained them from taking any industrial action. So in this case, this protest, some people call it a strike, but in the real sense of the word, it was just a protest to register their anger at what had happened. Because if it was a strike, we would have seen Labour try to even enforce it by going to the Federal Secretariat, for example, to lock the gates, and get their people to comply. But just as Emeka said, what we want to see is the resolution of this matter without a resort to extreme action.
Yeah.
I've said repeatedly that there was no need for some of the fighting words that Ajero was using, you know, in the days leading to this strike, telling the people to be ready for a fight, calling the government irresponsible, saying that he would not be part of any meeting again because they had made up their minds about what to do. That is a waste of time to sit with them. And every time you say this, the next day they will see you in a meeting. Because when you choose not to enter the meeting, TUC will go.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be undercut. So you just make sure that you are, even when he said we will never meet with them until they reverse the subsidy decision.
Yeah. Yeah.
We still saw him the next day meeting with them. So what makes sense at this time, because to imagine that we'll go back to the subsidy era is foolish. We will not go back to the subsidy era, because the subsidy era was moving Nigeria close to fiscal perdition, fiscal death. That was what it was moving us to. We had reached a point where we could not pay our bills. Even China, we wanted to take a loan from China, and China said, enough. This one we will not give. We were servicing debt with about 93% of our revenue. And the debt that you are servicing actually is not the principal that you are paying for.
Yeah, but
you are paying the interest on the loan. Yet it had reached the point that 93% of your receipts, of your earnings, was going to servicing them. Where will you find the money? States were heavily indebted, because when we talk about the quantum of the nation's debt, is actually not the federal government alone. Yeah. A lot of these states were piling on debts because they could not pay their bills, literally. Some couldn't even pay salary. Some couldn't do the normal things that states should do. But we are in a situation now that even states and the federal government agreed to bank more than ₦1 trillion.
Yeah.
Because what came to them by way of the distributable revenue from FAC was 1.955 trillion. Yeah. And they decided to share just 907. When was the last time we had this kind of opportunity? Except if we are sharing excess crude and all that. So now states will be able to find the money to spend on infrastructure, to even address these pains that our people are going through, because what we used to spend on subsidy we now have it and we can spend on fixing infrastructure, solving those problems that we had faced over the years. So for me, going back to the pre-subsidy era, because it's part of the demands of NLC, if you go into a meeting asking for that, you are wasting your time because nobody will agree, except you want this impasse to linger. Nobody will agree to go back to the pre-subsidy, pre-subsidy removal era.
But in the interest of the public, there must be a meeting of ground somewhere in the middle.
Yes, I believe that, okay, the president made some pledges to them, and they decided, okay, let's go back home. And of course, the Senate also said, give us 1 week. Let's look at all of this. They want the refineries to work. The president gave firm assurances that by December, the Port Harcourt refineries will come on stream. We have 2 refineries there. It will come on stream. But Nigerians also need to know that those refineries coming on stream will not necessarily translate to cheap fuel. It's just marginal. It's just marginal reduction.
I thought I heard something like 70%.
No. How can it be 70?
No,
Just 70 naira per
70
liter.
naira.
70 naira.
70 naira
Difference.
is what will save.
Yeah.
That's what will save.
70 naira.
What will help us, what will push us to cheaper fuel prices? One, if this man in Russia,
Putin.
if Putin ends the senseless war that he went into,
Yes.
because he's now stuck. He started the war since March last year. He thought it was something that he could just finish. But the West got Ukraine to dig in, provided weapons and all that. Now he's stuck. This is a war that will last, that will go on and on and on. In fact, Ukraine now has capacity to even operate in Russian territory. So that's not
the other way.
and the fuel prices went up when that war began because Russia is a big diesel producer. You know, so there's no way that if anything happens to such a big oil producer that it won't affect the whole world. That's the way that market responds. So if the war ends, the price will go down. You know, there was a time that it went down, I think around 2016. It went down to the point that Nigeria didn't even need to pay subsidy.
I think $38 or something.
It came down, it even came lower. There was a time it was 26.
Yes.
You know?
In the international market.
For me, I'm praying that it will go down.
Yes.
So that it will get to a point that Nigerians can afford. I'm not pinning my hopes on Dangote refinery. I don't know when the refinery will come on stream. I read what the TUC president was saying, that the Dangote refinery cannot do 50% production until around December this year. We didn't hear that it would take that long. But this is Nigeria, where people make promises and then you wait for them to fulfill that promise, and they tell you you can wait till Jesus Christ returns. So this is...
okay then. Jide, let's take a breather now. We'll go on a commercial break. We should be back, but please stay with us.
TerraQ Unwrap joy. Unleash taste.
Okay, welcome back. Now to our next story. You know, the 26th of July 2023 military takeover in Niger Republic is a sad reminder of the tiresome leadership question in Africa. The chairman of the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Governments, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, angling for a quick resolution of the political crisis in Niger, has dispatched a three-man delegation to the Sahel country with a mandate to expeditiously resolve the political impasse there. The group, led by Nigeria's former military head, retired General Abdulsalami Abubakar, left the country for the Nigerian capital Niamey on Thursday. We wish them Godspeed.
Yeah, they are back. They didn't even get the privilege of meeting the leader of the junta. This crisis is much more complicated than we think. The presidents of ECOWAS, the ECOWAS heads of government have every reason to be worried, because between 2020 and now, we've seen 6 countries, governments of 6 countries toppled by the military. Ashwaju's very good friend, Conde, the president, yes, in Guinea,
Conte, yeah.
in broad daylight, was pushed out of power and paraded on the streets. You know? So I can understand why they are worried. And this is not the first time. When the former president of Gambia refused to...
Yaya Jammeh.
Yes, after he was defeated and he didn't want to leave office. Nigeria played a big part in sending him packing. I remember that story that Premium Times wrote then, that we were sending an armada of warplanes, you know, and they had to arrest their editor. But that was what we did. We did not just send warplanes to Gambia. We flew the Alpha jet low on the presidential palace. Within a short time, Jammeh picked his phone and called President Buhari. I'm ready for talk, sir. Because he didn't know what was coming next. Remember, too, Obasanjo also did the same thing.
In Sao Tome.
Yes,
Yeah.
in Sao Tome Principe. African leaders are not comfortable with military takeover, especially when you imagine what happened in the past. Even the bloodletting that comes with a military coup, sometimes put the civilians on trial and then you put them to death by firing squad. Sergeant Doe did that. But in the end, he couldn't keep the country together. You look at countries like Burkina Faso, Mali at this time, they are like failed states because these military rulers have
about
not...
6 countries.
Yes, there are
for
6.
the moment.
That's the 6 countries between 2020 and now.
Yeah, yeah.
They are
Under
now
military
under military rule. Let me even...
Yes, I think Mali, Burkina Faso,
okay.
Sudan,
Mali,
Chad.
Burkina Faso, Sudan, Chad, Guinea,
Guinea, yeah.
and Niger Republic.
Yeah.
Niger.
So Mali, the takeover was in August 2020. August 2020. Then we had Burkina Faso, we had Chad. Chad, a military ruler, succeeded a military ruler.
Father to son.
Father to son.
Father and son, yeah.
That's after the father had ruled for more than 30 years. In April 2021, his son
Took over.
And then Guinea, September 2021, they will promise a smooth transition to civilian rule. but they will not do anything. Even when Idris Deby was killed, the promise publicly made by his son in taking over was that there will be a transition to civil rule. But it usually doesn't happen. Everybody lost power. They just remain. So I can understand why they are trying to pile pressure on them. But for me, war is not something that Nigerians should consider.
Yes.
Or
We
if you
can't-
like, force is not.
Force. And well, it's the same thing when I say
war
war.
now.
It's war.
No.
Verbal.
Intimidation, I understand what.
So we should not go to war over this. I know that the president has already informed the Senate of his plans, including the fact that military exercises, military drills along the border with Niger will begin and all that. I don't think we need to go to that extent. One, of all these countries around us, Niger Republic has the most extensive border. Our border with Chad is not extensive; it's a very small one.
Yeah.
You know?
But
Niger
is from Borno.
Niger
Down.
I think for
Niger begins from Kebbi,
yeah.
Kebbi in the northwest,
Yeah.
right up to Yobe, in the
Yobe.
northeast.
Okay.
So we are talking about 6 to 7 states. Now, like Jigawa in the northwest, they share border with Niger. Sokoto shares border with Niger. Katsina shares border with Niger.
Kano?
You know? No, not Kano.
No, Jigawa.
Not Kano.
Jigawa, Katsina.
Jigawa, Jigawa, Katsina, Sokoto. You know? So now, our people, there's no way our people won't suffer in the event of a war. These people, even and a lot of these places are not manned. They will start making incursions into our country, harassing our people and all that. War, you will never fully appreciate the ill effects of war until you have seen it brought to your door. So we don't want war. Let the efforts, other efforts, we've already said, okay, commercial flights between Nigeria and Niger Republic, we've stopped. Even goods in transit, we have stopped. We have stopped giving them electricity. Whereas, at the time we were going to build the Kanji Dam, we agreed that Niger Republic and Benin Republic would not construct any dam because our country is like at the base. If any of those countries decides to dam the river Niger, we will not have water.
Yeah.
If you look at the map, you see where we are. Once any of them dams constructs any dam, the water won't get to us.
That's takes its source from Guinea.
From Futa Jalon, then comes, you look at where, in Kebbi State, for example, you know, we have River Niger there. Just before it gets to Kebbi, if they were to dam it, we'll be in trouble.
No, but Niger Republic is already damming it at Kandaji. They're already damming the river. They are building a dam at Kandaji since 2021. This Bazoum, he started building a dam. He started with the Russians, then gave it to a Chinese company. So it's like, you know, Jide said, it's complex.
But we agreed to give them electricity
but
in return for not constructing.
But if we cut electricity and they decide to go ahead with that dam, those boys decide to reciprocate and go ahead with that dam, we will suffer.
Yeah, well, the effect may not be what it will have been in those years. Remember now we have, at the time we rely so much on
the hydroelectric.
The Kanji Dam with its 700 kilowatts installed capacity. But these days, we have many thermal plants. So an hydro power plant is no longer something that you can say, oh, if Nigeria doesn't have, so we have many thermal power plants. Now, Egbin here in Lagos is the biggest in West Africa, you know, and at its installed capacity, it should be about 2,000 megawatts,
okay.
Even bigger than what Kanji can offer. And we have others, even the little one in your state.
Gentlemen, I'd rather we talked briefly about the leadership question in Africa, so as to keep the military boys at bay.
Yeah, that's also interesting. You will find out some of these countries, even Niger, their new leaders are younger people. So there appears to be this revulsion. You know, younger people in Africa are saying, no, that let's do away with these old men. You have people you have like in Cameroon, some of these countries that have had leaders for so many years, the same person. So younger people are saying, enough of all these gerontocrats. Let's have new blood. Let's have younger people. And the result is through military rule. Because it appears that, of course, these older people have entrenched themselves in power. And so getting for the younger people to get power through democratic means.
Yeah, but at the same time, we can talk about
Idris Deby came in, he was very young when he came in.
Very
young.
And now joined.
And he spent over 30 years.
And joined the gang.
But look at military rule will come with fiat. They rule.
And then later on, they drop their khaki and transmute into the civilian rule.
Yeah.
So what people must be careful what they ask for.
Because they might get
Because these guys, you know, where power is so by nature intoxicating. Intoxicating. Yeah. When I remember in 1990, African leaders came to Abuja for a meeting. And the president of Uganda was young. He had just taken power like 4 years before that time.
Yoweri Museveni.
Yes, he was young, and he was I'm coming. Just listen to me. So, and he was like, look, we will not tolerate this gerontocratic fixation by African leaders, this and that. He gave a rousing speech. And he said, anybody who spends 10 years in office must have overstayed his welcome. He's been there since 1986. Yes, he's not left.
Yes.
That
and I remember
is the problem.
we were in South Africa when a journalist asked him a question. No, it was actually the late president of Zimbabwe,
Mugabe.
Okay.
Mugabe, that was asked that question. That, Mr. President, when will you bid the Zimbabwe people goodbye? His answer was, where are they going? You know, somebody who's going somewhere.
Yes.
That, you know, he was a master at giving those very sharp.
Yes. Very witty man.
Yes. So he just asked the journalist, where are they going? The journalist didn't know what to say. He was so...
He just walked away.
He was so wrong-footed by the answer. He just walked away, left the old man. So Mugabe too came in 1980. Everybody liked him. But Mugabe, even at more than 90, he wouldn't leave power.
Oh, come on.
So these young people of today, if you leave them, they will take power
and
stay, turn themselves to civilians. They will not want to go. That is the problem.
The Nigerian experience is something we can draw from. You know, nine coups in total, 5 successful ones, 4 failed ones. You know, so are we learning lessons?
Well, the thing is that, you know, like the Liberian president said, George Weah, that, you know, there must be institutional reforms in Africa.
Yeah.
And one of the things, you know, in the 90s was that I thought NEPAD, the new Partnership for African Development, you know, one of the key pillars was peer review, peer-to-peer, that countries would encourage African countries would encourage each other to keep, you know, to democratic principles, to do things that will help their people progress. But, of course, along the line, these things didn't work out. Then the intervention of these former colonial masters. Then don't forget also why we should be careful about Niger is that Al-Qaeda, ISWAP, and the rest of them are hanging in the wings.
They're even there now.
They have almost destabilized Burkina Faso. They have almost destroyed Mali. Even Niger has been suffering from them. So if there's any escalation of military conflict, don't forget Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali. They share a kind of affinity against this insurgents.
Emeka, we must go to our next story.
It will
it's just to tell all the parties involved that the tragedy of war, Jide Emeka, is that
War is costly, my brother.
it
Very
uses
We
man's-
spent more than $15 billion
Yeah.
on the war in Sierra Leone and
Nigeria.
and we didn't gain anything.
Nothing.
Today, it is the Chinese who are enjoying those countries. They are the ones who have come to set up
Pick up the
businesses and all
pieces
that.
and so on.
What have we gained?
Nothing.
Yeah.
We lost our men and women fighting to keep peace in some countries that are thoroughly ungrateful to Nigeria.
The tragedy remains that war uses man's best to do man's worst. We can't afford it at this time. All right, to our last
Don't want
story.
it.
Now, like the sword of Damocles, the extremely distressing order from the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, has dangled over Nigeria's southeast state region, I should say, since the 9th of August 2021. Every attempt to stem the tide has failed. Again, incarcerated IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu has restated that there should be no sit-at-home in the southeast. Enforcers of the protracted sit-at-home claimed they were doing it to push for Kanu's release. Is it Buhari
I think
at last?
I think the guys still pushing this thing. I think they're taking themselves too seriously. They're taking themselves too seriously. I see Simon Ekpa on Facebook coming to say, oh, we've gone through sit at home a number of times and we've not died. Let's suffer more. And I say, who are those you say? I mean, when last, I don't know when last Simon Ekpa was in Nigeria. When last he was in the southeast. Who are the people you were saying should suffer more? He said, after all, okay, what have you really gained from previous Mondays when there was no sit at home? Look, the quality of life of the average Nigerian has really gone down. And so, whether you like it or not, preventing people from doing their business and killing over 250 people in the enforcement of sit at home will not take us in the southeast to anywhere. I'm saying it clearly. Will not take us to anywhere.
Not even to dreamland.
Nnamdi Kanu has come out to say stop the sit at home. Simon Ekpa says Nnamdi Kanu should come and see him in Finland. What is going on? The people are suffering.
Who is saying what?
You now say, okay, you have been able to develop Obunigwe, the mass killer that was used in the Civil War. Who will Obunigwe eat? If it takes off, maybe hit some soldiers, hit some policemen. But the majority of the victims will be Igbos. So what exactly are these boys looking for? We've appealed to them. The leaders have appealed to them. That, okay, let there be dialogue between you and government. Nnamdi Kanu has already said, okay, let there not be sit at home. You have people like Hope Uzodinma, Ifeanyi Ubah, and the rest of them. Even the late former minister, Bazulika Amechi. There has been continuous dialogue. So they have said, okay, give us time. Even Chief Emmanuel Wanyam, who is the current president of Hanese, has come in. But you see these boys, especially these guys in the diaspora, insulting him. And I ask, this man is old enough to be your grandfather. Is it you want just to burn down the whole of Southeast? You sit abroad. You are abroad causing mayhem in the Southeast. And you are saying it's for Nnamdi Kanu's reason. And Nnamdi Kanu has told you, stop it. That no problem. He's relaxed. He's calm. If you don't respect your leader, then what are you doing?
Jide, there's this talk about the Nigerian government intervening to the extent of talking to the Finnish government about Samuel Ekpa's war cries.
Before now, we suggested on this program that the next Minister of Foreign Affairs should make that his project. They don't have to put him on trial here. Over there, let them just put him in the slammer. Because what this guy is doing makes no sense. You are saying, oh, and he does not believe in one day sit at home. Simon Ekpa would want the people to sit at home for 2 straight weeks. How else do you describe that?
And he goes to work on Mondays in Finland.
You said 2 weeks. There are days that you will say, okay, today it is curfew. I want curfew today.
As who?
As Simon Ekpa. Now he's saying that he said the letter that Ejimako brought from Kano is fake, and that it was written by the DSS themselves and Nigerian authorities. If you look at what the people have gone through since July 31, since August 9, 2021,
Yeah.
between August 9, 2021 to December 19, 2022, the Southeast has lost 5.375 trillion or $12 billion, $12.215 to this sit-at-home. And the data was collated using the National Bureau of Statistics, you know. So in a state, and it is the small and medium-scale businesses that are suffering the most. According to Smedan and the MBA, Anambra has 1.297 million micro and nano businesses. Abia has 764,844. Enugu has 1.154. Ebonyi has 561,287. Imo has 1.231 million. So it's actually Anambra that is the heartbeat of business in the Southeast that is suffering this thing the most, given the number of micro and nano businesses that they have. And revenue and productivity have been grossly, terribly affected. The Igbo man likes to open his container on a Monday morning. What we now see is people diverting their containers to Akwa Ibom State.
To Asaba.
You know? Asaba, just a spitting distance from Onitsha. Don't enforce it there. So you see, Asaba as a town is growing.
Growing big.
You go to Asaba, you'll be proud of the development that has taken place. Many people are relocating their children from Anambra State to go to school in Asaba. I was there. When I went to do the story of the second Niger Bridge, I stayed in both communities. I went to Onitsha. I stayed there. In fact, I even snapped a picture where we had lunch, and people say, "Oh, you are in Onitsha," you know. So people find it difficult to do business in those places, and that's why Soludo is struggling to even make money by way of what's it called, internally generated revenue. The other day when he was talking about what comes every month to the coffers, I just shook my head, because the state has the potential to make a lot more money than Soludo is making from IGR. But how would they make money when businesses are crumbling?
At this rate, Emeka, how do you rationalize a situation whereby Nnamdi Kanu is Abia? But Abia is not in the thick of things. Simon Ekpa, I hear, is from Ebonyi State. So, but these two states are not there.
They are there.
They're also affected.
Wow,
also
no.
affected. But
the last killings was in Ebonyi now. Remember, where they were shooting people. That last one, that video that went viral, it was in Ebonyi. It was in Ebonyi. Then Abia is the heartbeat of the agitation for IPOB, for Biafra State. Abia is the heartbeat. We cannot say that Abia is not. Ebonyi, for a long time, they were not observing sit-at-home. That's true. But the last attack on a Monday morning was in Ebonyi. And they shot people, vendors, people who were on the street. They opened fire on them. The video went viral. So there is no state in the Southeast that is insulated, though. What we know is that, okay, Imo and Anambra, they are going through a lot. Yes, because they are neighbors, neighbors and all that. So, but there is no state in the Southeast that is insulated. But
consider this. Nnamdi Kanu is supposed to be IPOB leader. he has said from, oh, he is.
He is undisputed.
So he says no more sit at home.
Yes.
So he does not command respect. Is that
no? Nnamdi Kanu is still highly respected. You know, on the one hand, people
but
are
you understand my,
I get
my
you.
logic.
Yes. People like that. That is what.
As if formed.
No, he said he formed autopilots. He said he formed autopilots.
A government
Different from
government in exile.
A government in exile. There is a prime minister.
Can we say IPOB now has factions?
Nnamdi Kanu remains. These guys are just playing on the. That's why there is this appeal that government should release Nnamdi Kanu unconditionally, so as to nip all this opportunism.
But naturally, if the man whose group instituted sit at home in the first place says, okay, no more.
No more.
There should be no reason for anybody to
Yeah,
go
but
around.
you know, opportunists, that's the problem. Opportunism.
Cultists.
Opportunists are just all kinds of people.
There is no element of respect for the man.
It's so unfortunate. You know,
at least by these boys who are not taking his instructions.
Yes.
You know, it always, because even when he said sit at home should only be on days when they are bringing him to court.
That's it.
These boys continue to enforce sit at home on Mondays.
They are not helping anybody. The question we ask them is that how many of them have shops? Let's say in Onitsha main market.
Those boys are cultists now.
How many of them have shops in area that will close down their shops for 2 weeks? You are paying rent on those, and those shops don't come cheap. If you shut down a shop in Onitsha main market for 2 weeks, you will know what has hit you. It's not easy because you're going to pay rent at the end of the year.
Yeah.
You have boy, you have your apprentices whom you are training, and they're expecting that you will settle them after a certain period. Then you have family members, you have other things. You have bills to pay, obligations and all of that.
In a difficult Nigeria.
And then you now shut down business for 2, not that you are ill. Even if you are ill, your wife is either running it or somebody is running it.
Is it safe to say, therefore, that the sit-at-home thing has become a franchise?
It's
No, it's been hijacked. It's been hijacked by cultists, brigands, never-do-wells, and all kinds of people.
Yes.
There is no doubt we can't argue anymore that this thing has been hijacked. It's been hijacked, and it shows. Because it's more powerful, the spokesperson of IPOB, who used to relate with Nnamdi Kanu and get the message across to the people, he said, come on, this thing we are not interested anymore, except on days when they bring this man to court.
Yeah.
But they won't listen. During the election, when we were going to have the Anambra election, everybody was fretting that, this guy said there won't be election until there is referendum. But in the end, the people who have, because there are still people in the East that IPOB members respect. People like Baba Izife, people like the late Mbazuleke Amechi, you know, they reached out to these IPOB guys and they said, no, okay, go and do your election. And we had elections. Before then, what we were hearing was that nobody should come out for election until they've had referendum. But we had election. But after that, we've seen these cultists and other criminals just taking over. It's like, you know, when you, somebody said you can actually dig a well, but you can't guarantee that you are the only one who will drink water from it. IPOB instituted this brand of civil defense, civil disobedience.
Yeah.
But what we've seen now is that it has been hijacked. And there is no greater evidence of the hijack than the fact that someone like Nnamdi Kanu would write a letter in his own hand, and somebody will sit in Finland and be saying, no, that the letter is fake. So we have to commend those who made themselves available to even go and visit Kanu. Let me just round it up.
Government should release it.
Gentlemen,
People like the traditional ruler, Chukwuemeka Eri of Eri Kingdom, he was among those who went to see Nnamdi Kanu and brought back this message.
Okay,
now
we must go. We must go. Please, there should be a rethink, a complete rethink. Emeka, thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
Jide, many thanks.
thanks.
Enjoy your weekend. That will just about do it for the show today. Watch a repeat broadcast if you missed any part of it from the top at 11 o'clock later tonight. But on Sunday, we expand the field for you from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. We are also on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I am Citizen Jones Hussein. Bye-bye now. Take care.
The following is a paid presentation by ShopX TV.
Struggling with energetic kids and you can't get them to get to sleep? Tried so many things to get them to snooze, but nothing seems to work. ShopX TV is proud to introduce an amazing gift for the kids. Introducing Happy Nappers.
They are happy, happy nappers. They love to sleep and play with you.
The perfect play pillows that pull open to a sleepy sack surprise. Who are the happiest nappers of all? Happy Nappers! They are more than just play pillows. They are comfy sleep sacks that keep your kids warm and wrapped safely in their favorite play characters, day or night. With a simple pull and zip, your child can snuggle up and nap inside of it. Imagine children that actually want to take a nap. They are your go-anywhere friends. They play with you all day, and when it's time to sleep, you just pull on their feet. Sleepy time, playtime, anytime is happy napper time. And when the napping is done, they fold back in for even more fun. Ordinary play pillows or blankets are not as much fun, and they don't hold the heat in, unlike happy nappers. And the sleep sacks are completely enclosed to keep your child warm and cozy during nap time or even through the night.
Toluwani absolutely loves her Happy Nappers kitty cat. It's pink, girly, and fluffy. Everything that she loves. Well, I love it because it's a 2-in-1. She can play with it all day, and when she's tired, she can take a nap in it.
Sultana loves his Happy Nappers Grey Shark. He loves playing with it and has real adventures with the shark. It's been really hard for him to sleep recently, but thanks to his Happy Nappers Shark, he finds it so easy to sleep all through the night. And to be honest, it's simply easier for me too as well.
Happy Nappers is now available in Nigeria exclusively from ShopX TV. You can choose from pink cat, grey shark, white unicorn, and even a pink unicorn. Don't forget, Happy Nappers comes with the ShopX TV's 30-day money-back guarantee. Happy Nappers are a great gift for any child and come in medium and large sizes. Get the ShopX Medium Happy Napper for 49,950 Naira and the large Happy Napper for 69,950 Naira only. Call the number on your screen now or visit our website at www.shopxtv.com to order yours now. And that's not all. If you order now, we will deliver to your door with no delivery charge. But hurry, limited stock available, so call now while stock lasts.
You can be a happy napper too.
The preceding was a paid presentation by ShopX TV.